Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm Vinod Patel, and I'm excited to guide you through this important topic. Today, we'll be discussing the Good Manufacturing Practice Guide for active pharmaceutical ingredients with a focus on validations. We'll cover key principles, best practices, and how to ensure compliance in our manufacturing processes. Let's get started. Let's take a closer look at what this presentation will cover. First, we'll talk about validation policy, which sets the foundation for how we approach validation processes. Then, we'll discuss validation documentation, emphasizing the importance of thorough and accurate records. Moving on, we'll cover qualification, which ensures equipment and systems meet specified requirements. Next, we'll explore approaches to process validation, looking at different strategies to verify processes are reliable. We'll also review the process validation program itself, highlighting how it's structured to maintain quality standards. Finally, we'll examine the periodic review of validated systems, which is crucial for continuous improvement and compliance. All of these points are interconnected and essential to maintaining a robust validation framework that supports quality and regulatory adherence. Now, let's talk about the validation policy. This is a crucial part of our overall quality management system. Essentially, it outlines the company's intentions and approach when it comes to validation activities. It's about setting clear expectations for how we validate different aspects of our operations. This includes the validation of production processes, which ensures that our manufacturing methods consistently produce quality products. It also covers cleaning procedures, to confirm that our equipment is properly cleaned and maintained. Additionally, it involves analytical methods to guarantee that our testing techniques are accurate and reliable. In-process control test procedures are also part of this, ensuring ongoing monitoring during production. Computerized systems, which are increasingly vital in our operations, must also be validated to confirm their integrity and security. And, importantly, the policy assigns responsibilities, covering who is responsible for designing, reviewing, approving, and documenting each phase of validation. Overall, this policy should be well documented. It provides a structured framework that helps us maintain compliance and quality throughout all validation activities. Remember, a solid validation policy underpins our commitment to delivering safe, effective, and high-quality products. Let's talk about the validation policy. When it comes to critical parameters or attributes, it's essential to identify them early, usually during development or by analyzing historical data. This helps us set the appropriate ranges needed for consistent, reproducible operation. Now, defining the API, or the active pharmaceutical ingredient, in terms of its critical product attributes is a key step. This ensures we're clear on what characteristics are vital for quality. Additionally, we need to identify process parameters that can influence those critical quality attributes. By doing this, we can better control and monitor the process to maintain product quality. Overall, this approach helps us build a robust validation framework, which is crucial for ensuring the safety and efficacy of our products throughout their life cycle. Let's talk about validation policy. This is a crucial step in ensuring our manufacturing process consistently produces high-quality products. Essentially, it involves determining the range for each critical process parameter that we expect to use during routine production and process control. By doing this, we're setting clear boundaries within which our processes should operate to maintain quality. It's important to remember that validation isn't just a one-size-fits-all approach. It should specifically extend to those operations that are critical to the quality and purity of the active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API. These are the processes that, if not properly controlled, could impact the safety, efficacy, or purity of the final product. So, in essence, our validation policy helps us identify and define these key parameters, ensuring they stay within the established ranges during everyday manufacturing. This proactive approach helps prevent deviations and supports consistent product quality, which is the core of our overall quality assurance strategy. Let's talk about the validation policy. This is a key step in ensuring quality and consistency in our manufacturing process. Essentially, it involves determining the range for each critical process parameter that we expect to use during routine manufacturing. These parameters are vital because they directly impact the final product's quality. It's important to note that validation shouldn't be a one-time event. It should extend specifically to those operations that are critical to the quality and purity of the active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API. Focusing on these critical areas helps us maintain control and ensure that every batch meets our high standards. By establishing clear, validated ranges for these parameters, we create a solid foundation for process control. This way, we can confidently produce high-quality APIs consistently, which ties back to our overall goal of ensuring safety, efficacy, and compliance in our manufacturing processes. Let's talk about validation documentation. A key part of this process is establishing a written validation protocol. This protocol serves as a detailed plan that clearly specifies how we will conduct the validation of a particular process. It's essential that this protocol isn't just created and forgotten. It needs to be reviewed thoroughly and approved by the quality unit or units involved. This ensures that everyone is on the same page and that the validation is conducted consistently and in compliance with regulatory standards. Remember, having a solid documentation process helps us maintain control, ensure quality, and support the integrity of our processes overall. Let's talk about validation documentation. The validation protocol is a critical part of the process because it clearly outlines what needs to be validated. It should specify the critical process steps, those points in the process that are essential to ensure quality and compliance. Equally important are the acceptance criteria, which define what results are considered acceptable for each step. Additionally, the protocol needs to specify the type of validation to be conducted. For example, whether it's prospective validation, which is done before routine use, or concurrent validation, which is performed during ongoing production. It's also important to include the number of process runs required to establish confidence in the process. This helps ensure that the validation is thorough and statistically sound. Overall, this documentation ties everything together by providing a clear, structured plan to verify that our process consistently produces quality results, aligning with the overall theme of ensuring compliance and quality assurance. Let's talk about validation documentation. When we complete a validation, it's essential to prepare a validation report that clearly cross-references the validation protocol. This report should summarize all the results we obtained during testing. It's important to comment on any deviations we observed along the way, explaining what went differently than planned. We also need to draw appropriate conclusions based on the data, which often includes recommending changes to address any deficiencies. Any variations from the original validation protocol should be documented thoroughly, with solid justification for why they occurred. This ensures transparency and traceability. Overall, this documentation not only proves that our validation was conducted properly, but also helps us identify areas for improvement. It ties back into the broader theme of maintaining quality and compliance throughout our processes. Before we begin any process validation activities, it's crucial to ensure that the critical equipment and ancillary systems are properly qualified. This step helps us verify that all equipment performs consistently and reliably within specified parameters. Qualification is typically carried out through a series of activities, which can be done either separately or combined, depending on the situation. These activities include design qualification, installation qualification, operational qualification, and performance qualification. Each of these steps plays a vital role in confirming that the equipment and systems are suitable for their intended use. By thoroughly completing these qualification steps, we lay a solid foundation for successful validation and ultimately ensure the quality and safety of our processes. Now, let's discuss qualification, which is a crucial part of ensuring our facilities and systems meet the necessary standards. First, we have design qualification, or DQ. This is all about verifying that the proposed design of our facilities, equipment, or systems is suitable for its intended purpose. Essentially, it means making sure that everything we plan aligns with what we need to achieve and that the design is appropriate from the start. Next is installation qualification, or IQ. This step involves verifying that the equipment or systems, once installed or modified, actually comply with the approved design, the manufacturer's recommendations, and our specific user requirements. It's about confirming that what has been installed matches our plans and specifications perfectly. Both DQ and IQ are vital because they help us build quality and compliance into our processes from the beginning. They connect directly to our overall goal of ensuring product quality, safety, and regulatory adherence throughout the life cycle of our facilities and equipment. Let's talk about qualification. First, there's operational qualification, or OQ. This is the documented verification that the equipment or systems, whether they're newly installed or recently modified, perform as intended across the full range of their expected operating conditions. Essentially, it confirms that everything works correctly in real-world scenarios. Next, we have performance qualification, or PQ. This step is about verifying that the equipment and any associated systems, when connected and functioning together, can perform effectively and consistently. This is based on the approved process methods and specifications, ensuring reproducibility and reliability. Both OQ and PQ are crucial for validating that our equipment not only functions properly, but also produces consistent, quality results. They are key parts of our overall quality assurance process, connecting directly to the broader goal of maintaining compliance and ensuring product quality throughout the manufacturing lifecycle. Let's talk about approaches to process validation. Process validation, or PV, is essentially the documented proof that our process, when operated within its established parameters, can perform effectively. It's about demonstrating consistency, reproducibility, so that we can reliably produce an intermediate or active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API, that meets its predetermined specifications and quality attributes. This means that PV isn't just a one-time check. It's a comprehensive, documented evidence that our process is capable of delivering quality products every time. By ensuring this, we align with regulatory expectations and ultimately safeguard patient safety. This is a core part of our overall quality assurance strategy, reinforcing that our processes are robust and under control. Let's take a look at the different approaches to process validation. There are actually three main approaches that we consider. The most preferred method is prospective validation, which involves testing the process before it's actually used for production, ensuring everything works as intended from the start. However, there are some situations where other approaches might be more appropriate. These alternative methods can be used depending on the specific circumstances or the nature of the process. I've outlined these approaches and their applicability in the slide, emphasizing that while prospective validation is generally ideal, flexibility is sometimes necessary to meet regulatory and operational requirements. This ensures we maintain both compliance and efficiency in our validation efforts. Let's talk about approaches to process validation. Prospective validation is a key point here, and it should generally be performed for all API processes. This means that before a drug product made from that API is actually marketed, we need to complete this validation. In other words, we want to ensure that the process is consistently producing quality outcomes before the product hits the market. Performing prospective validation beforehand helps us verify that the process is reliable and under control early on. This step is crucial in the overall quality assurance framework because it minimizes risks associated with the manufacturing process. So the main takeaway is, always aim to complete prospective validation prior to the final product's commercial distribution, ensuring safety and efficacy from the start. Let's talk about approaches to process validation, specifically focusing on concurrent validation. This approach is particularly useful when we don't have enough data from multiple production runs. For example, if only a limited number of API batches have been produced, or if batches are made infrequently, or even if we've made some modifications to a validated process, concurrent validation becomes a practical solution. The key idea here is that we can conduct validation at the same time as production, rather than waiting for multiple batches to be completed beforehand. This allows us to move forward without delaying the process. Importantly, before we fully release these batches for use in the final drug product, we perform thorough monitoring and testing of each batch. This ensures that, even during the validation phase, we maintain high quality and compliance standards. Overall, concurrent validation is a flexible tool, especially when circumstances limit the availability of data from multiple production runs, and it allows us to balance the need for efficiency with rigorous quality control. Now, let's talk about approaches to process validation. One exception we can consider is retrospective validation. This is particularly useful for well-established processes that have been used reliably over time. If there haven't been significant changes to the API quality, things like raw materials, equipment, systems, facilities, or the production process, then retrospective validation can be appropriate. The key here is that this approach is suitable when certain critical aspects are already identified. Specifically, critical quality attributes and critical process parameters need to be clearly understood and documented. Recognizing these ensures that even when we're looking back at the process, we're focusing on the elements that truly impact quality and safety. Overall, this approach helps us streamline validation for mature processes, but it still requires careful assessment to confirm that no significant changes could have affected the process's integrity. It's all about balancing efficiency with maintaining high standards. Now, let's look at some key approaches to process validation. First, it's crucial that appropriate in-process acceptance criteria and controls are established. This means we have clear standards to evaluate the process at various stages, ensuring consistency and quality throughout production. Next, we need to confirm that there haven't been any significant process or product failures that can't be explained by operator error or equipment issues unrelated to the equipment's suitability. Essentially, if problems arise, they should be attributable to known, manageable causes rather than fundamental flaws in the process or equipment. Finally, establishing impurity profiles for the existing active pharmaceutical ingredient is vital. This helps us understand the impurity landscape, ensuring safety and efficacy, and provides a benchmark for ongoing quality assessment. Together, these points highlight a comprehensive approach to process validation, emphasizing control, understanding, and reliability, all of which are essential to delivering a consistent, high-quality product. When we talk about approaches to process validation, one key method is selecting batches for retrospective validation. These batches should be representative of all batches produced during the review period. That means including not just the successful ones, but also any batches that didn't meet specifications. It's important that the number of these batches is sufficient to demonstrate that the process is consistent over time. Retained samples play a crucial role here. They can be tested to gather data that helps us validate the process retrospectively. This approach ensures we're covering the full scope of manufacturing and quality performance, which ties into our overall goal of maintaining robust and reliable processes. By doing this, we're not just validating based on current data, but also looking back at historical data to confirm ongoing process control. Now, let's talk about the process validation program. When determining how many process runs are needed for validation, it's important to consider the complexity of the process itself or the extent of any process changes being evaluated. Essentially, more complex or significantly changed processes might require more validation runs to ensure everything is reliable. For prospective and concurrent validation, a common guideline is to use 3 consecutive successful production batches. This helps confirm that the process is stable and capable of consistently producing quality output. However, it's crucial to remember that in some cases, you might need to perform additional process runs. These extra runs can provide extra confidence in the process's consistency, especially if there are uncertainties or higher risks involved. Connecting this back to the overall theme, effective process validation is all about ensuring quality and consistency through appropriate validation efforts. Tailoring the number of runs to the process specifics helps us achieve that goal efficiently and reliably. Let's talk about the process validation program. When it comes to retrospective validation, the general approach is to examine data from around 10 to 30 consecutive batches. This helps us assess how consistent the process has been over time. Of course, if there's a justified reason, fewer batches can be reviewed, but the goal is to get a good sense of process stability. Now, an alternative approach that's gaining popularity is continuous process verification, or CPV. Instead of looking back at batches after the fact, CPV involves ongoing monitoring and evaluation of the manufacturing process performance. This method aligns with ICH Q8 guidelines and allows us to ensure quality in real time, making adjustments as needed. Both approaches are part of a broader strategy to ensure process control and product quality. The key takeaway is that, whether through retrospective validation or continuous verification, our focus is on maintaining a consistent, reliable process that meets quality standards throughout production. Let's take a closer look at the process validation program. This program is a critical component of ensuring our processes are consistent, reliable, and effective. It involves a systematic approach to verify that our manufacturing processes produce products that meet all quality standards. By validating our processes, we can identify potential issues early on and implement improvements proactively. Key points to remember are that process validation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing activity that helps us maintain control over quality. It also provides documented evidence that our processes are capable of delivering the desired outcomes consistently. This ties directly into our overall goal of quality assurance and continuous improvement. By implementing a robust process validation program, we're not just complying with regulations, we're building trust with our customers and safeguarding our reputation. So, in essence, this program underpins the integrity of our entire quality management system. Let's talk about the process validation program. The main goal here is to confirm that the impurity profile for each active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API, stays within the predefined limits. This means we need to ensure that the impurities are controlled and consistent. It's crucial that the impurity profile is comparable to, or even better than, the historical data we have. This helps us verify that our process remains reliable over time. When applicable, we compare the current profile to what we determined during process development or for batches used in pivotal clinical and toxicological studies. Essentially, this validation step is about maintaining quality and ensuring patient safety by keeping our impurity levels in check, which ties directly into the overall theme of consistent, high-quality manufacturing. Periodic review of validated systems is a crucial part of maintaining our compliance and ensuring ongoing data integrity. It's not just a one-time check. It's a systematic process where we regularly evaluate these systems to confirm they continue to meet regulatory requirements and perform as intended. By conducting these reviews, we can identify any deviations, outdated procedures, or areas for improvement early on. This helps us prevent potential issues before they escalate and ensures that our validated systems remain reliable over time. Remember, the overall goal is to sustain the quality and integrity of our operations. Regular reviews also demonstrate our commitment to continuous improvement and compliance, which is vital in a regulated environment. So, making these periodic reviews a routine part of our process helps us stay aligned with industry standards and maintain the trust in our systems and data. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving